Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Tank be chopping, and I'm back with another haircut tutorial. Alright guys, so as you can see, my client's got a lot of hair on top. He normally gets braids on top and like a little taper on the side. However, sometimes he just likes to have curls in his hair. So he told me, hey Tank, I want to trim the top a little bit. So I said, alright man, I got you. So we're going to be doing a slight trim on top. I am going to add some product and, diffuse it. Just add some curls to the finished look. And then on the side, we're going to be doing a number 2. And then we're going to be tapering it in. So as you can see, I did saturate my client's head, his hair, I got it all nice and saturated. And now I'm just combing it down the way it lays, just so I can see what's going on and so I know how much hair needs to be taken off. Like I said, he does want a slight trim. Well, he said slight trim, but he actually wanted me to take off a good amount. So when we talked about it, he said about 1 inch or so. So even though you can't see me doing it here, I'm setting in my guidelines, starting off in the crown area, in the middle of his head and working forward. And like I said, guys, I'm taking off about 1 inch, half an inch to 1 inch, and I'm working my way forward. And this is going to be my first initial guideline that I do on top. And y'all know how I do it, guys. Once I set in this first guideline, I like to start sectioning my hair the opposite way, coming back. And y'all see me do that right here in a minute. So as you can see, I'm using that guideline coming all the way forward, and anything longer than that initial guideline is getting cut off. So now we're setting in our sections the opposite way. And every time I come up a section, I'm bringing in some of that initial guideline. That way I can see how much hair needs to be taken off. And I am being a little more careful, taking my time a little bit more. And the reason for that is he's got a lot of hair, and I'm just trying to be careful with it and consistent with it. That way I don't have to go over it too many times. When clients have shorter hair, when I do scissors, I don't want to say I'm not as careful, but I'm just used to doing it a lot more, so it's easier for me to do, because I do it more often. So a haircut like this, I don't typically do. So it took me a little while just because I wanted to be nice and careful and just be as consistent as I could. And as you can see, even though I'm moving over to the side, I'm still continuing to bring up some of the previous sections, because every time I cut off, some hair, that now becomes a guideline that I could use on another section. So as you can see here, guys, now I'm just working on the opposite side of my client's head. And once again, guys, I'm using that initial guideline that I set in the middle as a guideline, and I'm going to use that to basically, it's going to be like a traveling guideline all around my client's head. And now I'm just making sure that I tie in, the top area to the sides, because even though he does have an undercut, it's not all the way up to the parietal ridge, it's like slightly below it, or right when the parietal ridge starts. So it does have some hair on the side, so I do want to make sure I'm cutting all that down even also. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just tying it all together. And as you can see, anything longer than those guidelines, I'm making sure to cut off. And now I'm just going over the top and just cross-checking my work, making sure it's all down to that length. And now that that is done, I'm putting some Cantu's hair mousse in it. And all this does is help define the curls. It just helps, give the hair a curly look. So I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna use my Gold FX Babyless blow dryer, and then I have the diffuser attachment on there, just diffusing, running this through the top of my client's head. That way he can have them curls in there. And as you can see, I'm moving everything upward, and that's because he wants the curls to sit on top of his head. So I'm gonna do this for, a little minute, and then I'm gonna put hair clips in my client, and I'm actually gonna start tapering in the sides. Alright guys, so now we're going to actually start working on the sides, the shorter hair. So I'm using my Gold and his Masters. I have my number 2 guard on my clipper, and I'm coming up right to where the short hair meets the long hair. I want to get all that down to that number 2 guard. And we're going to do this all the way around the head. And you want to be sure that you're being very careful with this, We don't want to cut off any of the long hair. He likes where his hair is. How can I say it? He likes where the long hair starts. So like I said, we don't want to take any of that off. I wasn't the one who sectioned his hair and brought the short hair this high. He went somewhere else, and now I'm just keeping it up, I guess you can say. But nonetheless, I'm taking all this hair on the side down to that number 2 guard, and then I'm gonna start tapering it. And just so y'all know, guys, I am going to be doing different clippers on each side of my client's head. So on the left side, I'm going to use the Andis Masters. The right side, I'm going to be using the caliber, the BMG, the 50 cal, and then on the back I'm going to be using my sabers, and I'm going to use different guards on each side also, guys. Alright, so now I'm taking my Andis GTX EXO and I'm setting in my bald guideline. And as you can see, I'm giving like a half circle type shape. It's not the best of shapes, but for the most part, it's there. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that I want to tell you guys. Like, a lot of people say that you have to be like super, how can I say it? Like, your guidelines have to be super neat, and they gotta be neat, but they don't gotta be as neat as people make it seem. You're gonna fade those lines out anyways. So as long as you have like a good base, you're all right. But anyways, going into this haircut, guys, I set in my bald guideline. I hit that bottom guideline with the shaver, and now I'm going in with my clippers with my lever open, and I went up about half an inch or so. I set in my next guideline, and then as you can see, I'm closing my lever. So I started all the way open, then halfway open, coming halfway into the section, and then all the way closed, attacking that bottom line. And then I'm just going in with some lever play, adjusting that lever as needed to get this section to fade out and look nice. And even though I know this bottom line isn't going to come completely out, that's perfectly fine. I'm still trying to attack it and lighten it as much as I possibly can. That way it makes it easier for me when I hit it with the trimmer at the, towards the end if I need to. And now this is my one guard with the lever open, which makes this a 1.5. And I'm coming up another section, about half an inch or so, almost all the way up to where I came with that number 2 guard, slightly below it. I set in my next section, and I'm trying to fade it out by closing my clipper. So I started with my clipper all the way open, and then I closed my clipper all the way, and now I'm attacking that bottom section, or that bottom guideline that's there. And as you can see, I'm coming behind the ear a little bit. I don't like behind the ear to look too bushy. And then I did some slight lever play, and it didn't completely get out that guideline. So as you can see, I'm going in with my 0 guard. I started off with my lever halfway open, and then I'm adjusting it closed as needed. Got a little blurry, They started to focus on the stuff in the background. But, as y'all can see, I'm just using that 0 guard to attack that bottom of that line. And now I'm going in with just my clipper, lever open, and adjusting that lever as needed to get rid of the dark areas and the discrepancies. Alright, so for the most part, that part is done. So now I decided to move on to the lineup. I'm taking my trimmer, starting off in the middle of my client's hair, and I set in my guideline, and I'm just moving my way over little by little. And I'm going to come all the way over until I get to that vertical bar, hit that vertical bar, and then, start attacking that C-cup slightly. Alright, to back what I was saying with my initial guideline. So the reason why I did it like that, guys, is for one, I wanted to give him somewhat of a high taper, but at the same time, I wanted to keep some of the C-cup. So that's why I did it in that the way I did it. You can, how can you say this? I could have like put more of a rainbow effect to it if I wanted to, but the reason why I didn't is because, like I said, I wanted to give a high taper, but at the same time still leave some hair to transition into this longer hair, but still kind of leave a little bit of darkness in the C-cup. I hope that makes sense, and if it doesn't, just watch what your boy is doing, and you're gonna see what I mean later on in this cut. Alright, so now I'm attacking the lineup behind my client's ear, just trying to get that all nice and sharp. Now, you don't have to do this now, but I like to do it now because it gives, once I line them up in the front and line them up behind the ear, I can actually see this part of the taper better. So now I decided to go back in and do some detail work. So I'm going in with my 0 guard, just hitting up these dark areas, and now I'm going in with my just my clipper lever open, adjusting my lever as needed to get this blend to look better. And now here is my number 2 guard, just attacking the top of that taper. Alright guys, so now that that side is done, we're moving over to the opposite side, and we're basically going to be doing the same exact thing. Only difference is I'm going to be using different clippers. So, I don't have, these clippers that I'm going to be using doesn't have an extended lever on it, so I'm going to have to use my 1.5 guard. But other than that, it's basically the same exact thing. As you can see, I set in my guideline, use my my shaver to get it as close as I can possibly get it, going in with my clipper all the way open and fading that line out. Then I'm moving on to my number 1 guard, lever open. Started with my lever open, and then I'm closing my clipper to get that bottom guideline out, and it's not going to come out completely, and that's fine. I know I can come back in later on and start to detail that with the 0 guard or my lever open, with my clipper open. Then I just use the 1.5, then the 1, and now this is my 0 guard. So these are the dubs. These are the dub guards from Gamma. All right, so now that side of the haircut is done, I'm lining it up on this side of the head. So I started off in the middle of my client, basically where I left off last time, and I'm just moving my way over to this side of my client's head, trying to get this line as sharp as we can get it. So normally also, guys, I like to bring the front edge up down a little bit with like a 1.5 or 2 guard. I asked my client if he wanted to, and he told me he didn't. So, you know, we didn't bring it down any. We just decided to line him up, and we still try to give him a nice sharp line. Even though it's a little longer than normal, we still want to make sure that line's nice and sharp. All right, so now that line is put in, what I'm doing now is I'm going back in and detailing it, just going over it with some guards that I feel are needed. So I think I just used that number 2 guard towards the top of the taper just to clean it all up. All right, so now I'm setting in my bald guideline in the back, for the back taper. And once again, guys, you're gonna see this guideline. And I know y'all probably gonna get at me in the comments, but it's all good. But most of the time, guys, when I'm just moving in the shop, when I'm not trying to be a perfectionist, when I'm just trying to get my clients in and out and still give them a good haircut, some of the times my lines aren't the best. As you can see there, that guideline isn't the best guideline, but I'm gonna fade it out anyway. So just pay attention to the way this fade comes together in the back, and you're gonna see that it still comes out really good. So in the back, I'm actually using my Stylecraft sabers. Went in with my lever all the way open. Now I'm just fading that line, fading that down all the way to clipper close, attacking that bottom guideline. And then I will be doing the same exact steps that I did on the right side. So after this, I will be going in with the number 1 guard, lever open, and I believe on the back I'm going to be using my color guards. So here is my number 1 lever open coming up another section, and as you can see, I'm using a slight flick out motion. And then I'm gonna close my lever, attack the bottom of this section. And then if that doesn't get that line completely out, I'm gonna go in with my 1/16 or my 0 guard. And when I say 1/16 or 0 guard, I'm not saying that you have like 2 different options. I'm letting y'all know that my 1/16 is the 0 guard. You know, the 0 and the 1/16 is the same thing. People just have different terms for it. So here is my 0 guard. I like to start off with the clipper halfway open and then adjust it, close notch by notch as needed to get rid of that dark spot, or to get rid of them dark spots. I don't know why I said that dark spot. But as y'all can see, this blend is coming together. You can't even see that my first initial bald guideline wasn't the straightest. Like you fade those lines out anyway. So as long as you have like a decent straight line, you're gonna fade it out and it's gonna come together anyways. So here is my 1.5 guard. Started off with my lever open, and that fades into the number 2, and then I closed it to get rid of them dark areas, and I'm going back down, basically doing some down fading, going in with my number 1 guard now, using some lever play, just switching the lever where I see dark areas and anything that I need to attack. Now I'm going back in with my 0 guard or my 1/16 guard, lever open, adjusting that lever, and then I'm gonna take the guard off my clipper and just do no guard, lever play, and try to clean up this taper as much as I can. And y'all know how we do it, guys. We are adding some enhancements. So y'all know how your boy does it, man. I don't like to make my clients' hairlines look too fake, so I try to spray enough enhancement to where it sharpens the line. But once again, guys, I don't try to make it look too dark or too fake. I see a lot of people when they use enhancements, they like overdo it. They oversaturate the head with it, and I don't think it looks as good as it can look if you just give a light spray. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes less is more, and I feel in this situation when you do lineups, you know, you just want to make it look slightly darker, a little sharper, and I think that really brings the haircut to the next level. And I just think personally that's the best way to do enhancements. All right, so now that I did my client's enhancements, I'm going back in. As you just saw me do, I hit a little bit with my trimmer a little bit. I wanted to reline him up, make sure everything was nice and sharp. And now I'm going in with my razor, and I'm just following everything I did with that trimmer. Also, guys, if y'all like this razor, I've had a bunch of people ask me about this razor. I do have the link in my description, so you can click the link in my description and you can buy this razor from Amazon. I didn't get it from Amazon. I got it from a barber supply. I think it was Pachuca Barber Supply. I'm not even 100% sure, but I got this razor off of a barber supply, and yeah, but I know they have it on Amazon, so the link is in my bios or my description. If y'all like this razor, I can cop it from there. But anyways, back to what I was saying, guys. I'm using this razor to go over all the lines that I created with my trimmer, making sure everything is nice and sharp. And then y'all gonna see the finished product here in a minute.
Damn it, Tito. Another one?
Alright guys, so this is how my client walked into the shop looking. You know, before the trim, before the taper, before the enhancements, before everything is how he looked. And this is the finished product. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this haircut in the comment section. If y'all like this video, please make sure to smash that like button. Also, if you're new to my channel, make sure and subscribe one time for your boy. Remember guys, if you're in the Houston, Texas area and want a haircut from me, you can go to my website, tankbechopping.com. You can book there. If you want me to do a haircut for YouTube, make sure to put that in the comment section and I'll make sure to see what I can do for y'all. But that's basically it, YouTube. I appreciate y'all for watching. Until next time, let's go.